You ever feel like there's a piece missing in the Lion King story? Like something about Nala just doesn't quite add up? Not her strength, not her loyalty, but her past. Because what if I told you that Nala's story, the one we never got to see on screen, holds a secret so heavy it reshaped the future of the Pride Lands? And once you hear it, you'll never look at her the same way again. Let's rewind. Back to the moment Nala shows up in the jungle, throws Simba to the ground, and the entire movie changes. She's not just a side character, she's the turning point. The reason Simba goes home. The reason the Pride Lands survive. Where had she been? And more importantly, what had she been through? A thread on r/Lion King fandom posted by user Sunset Savannah broke it down like this. Nala was missing for years. She didn't just go for a stroll and find Simba by chance. She was looking for help. That means things had gotten so bad under Scar that she risked leaving Pride Rock alone. That's not just bravery, that's desperation. And here's the twist that Tumblr and Twitter can't stop talking about. In the Broadway version of The Lion King, yes, the stage play, they flat out tell us something the movie never did. Scar wanted Nala to be his queen. Yeah, let that settle for a second. Not because he loved her, not because she wanted power, because he was running out of options. Scar needed heirs, and every other lioness had said no. And Nala? She was the last one standing. In the musical, the moment is chilling. Scar corners her, praises her beauty, and tells her she would be a fine mother of a strong line of kings. And she refuses, boldly, fiercely. She rejects the tyrant, and that's when she runs, not just to survive, but to save the Pride Lands. So why was this left out of the film? There's a post from Facebook's Lion King Theory Central that nailed it. Disney toned it down for the kids, but if you look at how Nala carries herself, how urgent, how fierce she is when she finds Simba, there's a layer of trauma there. She knows what's at stake, and honestly, I agree. Nala's entire demeanor when she finds Simba isn't just relief. It's exhaustion, frustration. She's begging him to come home, not because she misses him, but because she's the last hope. Now here's where the fan theories crack wide open. Some Redditors believe Nala's exile wasn't entirely her choice. What if Scar discovered her plan? What if she didn't just leave, but escape? User Pridelands Watcher speculates, it makes no sense for Scar to let the strongest lioness wander off alone, unless she fled, unless the lionesses helped her get out, silently rebelling behind Scar's back. That would mean Nala was part of an underground resistance inside the Pride Lands, and it makes you wonder who helped her. Sarabi? Zazu? Maybe even Rafiki? The TikTok fandom's been running wild with this. One popular video theory, 7 million views and counting, suggests Nala left not just for Simba, but to find any ally willing to fight. Her finding Simba was a miracle, but her leaving in the first place, that was a revolution. And personally, I think this makes so much sense because when Simba finally returns and confronts Scar, who's right there beside him? Nala. Not behind him, beside him, ready to fight. And when the battle begins, she's leading the lionesses, charging, roaring, taking back what Scar tried to take from her. That's not just love, that's vengeance, that's liberation. But here's where the shocking secret comes full circle. In some corners of the fandom, especially in deeper Reddit threads and lesser-known forums, fans whisper about a possible hidden lineage. A theory that Nala herself might not be Mufasa's niece, but the daughter of an outsider. Crazy? Maybe, but think about it. Nala has no confirmed father. None. Not in the film, not in the sequel, not even in the official canon guides. And yet she's allowed to grow up beside Simba, treated as an equal, as a potential queen. One Reddit post by Mystic Mane lays it out like this. Either the Pride Lands had very relaxed rules about lineage, or Nala came from somewhere else. What if she was adopted, or brought in by Sarafina from another pride? That would explain her fierce independence, her outsider bravery, her willingness to challenge the status quo. And if Scar knew she wasn't a true heir to Mufasa's bloodline, that would explain why he saw her not as family, but as property. The implications are horrifying, but it makes her defiance even more powerful. She didn't just resist Scar, she risked her life, possibly without the same protections the royal bloodline carried, because it was the right thing to do. And that changes everything. So here's the thing about secrets, they don't stay buried forever, especially not in a kingdom built on legacy, loyalty, and bloodlines. Nala's past, her origins, and the choice she made to leave the Pride Lands behind, it didn't just affect her, it redefined the future. And nowhere is that more clear than in Simba's return. Because let's be honest, he wasn't coming back. Until Nala showed up. One post on Twitter that I saved months ago and still think about way too often said, Nala isn't the love interest. She's the catalyst. Simba's guilt couldn't move him. Rafiki's wisdom couldn't push him. But Nala, she looked him dead in the eye and said, you're not the only one who lost everything. That's what brought him home. That tweet has over 60,000 likes and it's spot on. When Nala says you're our only hope, it's not poetic. It's literal. Scar's reign is devastating the Pride Lands. The lionesses are starving. The balance of the circle of life has broken, and she's had to watch it all fall apart, knowing the only lion who could stop it has vanished into exile. And this is where the hidden cost of her secret comes back to haunt her, because think about the pressure she carries. If she had failed, if Simba had said no, there would have been no one else. That weight, that's unbearable. A Reddit comment from a user named Scarred Legacy pointed something out I had never thought about before. In the movie, Simba gets this whole redemption arc. But Nala, she doesn't get time to grieve. She doesn't get a Hakuna Matata montage. She fights for her pride in silence, alone. That's the emotional gut punch. And it's why I think her shocking secret, not just the Scar proposal, but the exile, the silence, the years of quiet suffering matters so much more than people give her credit for. Because Nala isn't just a queen because she marries Simba. She's already a queen when she finds him. Now, let's fast forward a bit. We know Nala becomes Simba's mate. She stands beside him when he reclaims the throne. She helps restore the Pride Lands, and together they raise Kiara. But here's something fascinating. Even as queen, Nala keeps her past close to the chest. There's a Facebook fan group, the Pride Land Society, where one fan wrote, "You can tell Nala never forgot what she went through under Scar. Look at how protective she is of Kiara. Look at how she never lets her face danger alone. That's not just maternal instinct, that's trauma." That post blew up, thousands of shares, comments full of people saying they never thought of it that way. And honestly, it tracks. When Kiara runs off to the Outlands, Nala doesn't just panic, she gets angry. And I think that's because deep down she knows what happens when young lions leave the Pride Lands unprotected. She lived it. And here's where it gets even more interesting. There's been debate for years about Nala's role in the Lion Guard era. Why doesn't she get more screen time? Why don't we see her mentoring Kion, especially when he inherits the roar? But a few Reddit theories offer something compelling. What if Nala chose to step back? Not out of weakness, but out of fear that her own past, the choices she made, the secrets she kept, might influence her children in ways she couldn't control. One post suggested Nala carries guilt, not just over Scar, but over what she had to become to survive him. She didn't just lead with strength, she led with secrets. And maybe she didn't want that burden passed on to Kion or Kiara. That hit me hard, because Nala's strength was never just in battle, it was in sacrifice, in knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. So what happens when the next generation starts asking questions? That's what we'll dive into next. Because as the Pride Lands begin to heal and the next royal cubs grow stronger, there's one truth that can't stay hidden forever. One truth that could change everything they believe about their family, their legacy, and the queen who risked it all to save them. Legacy is a beautiful thing until it becomes a burden. And for Nala, that burden isn't just the crown she wears, it's the silence she chose, the truth she never told. Because secrets, no matter how noble, always leave a shadow. Now picture this, Kiara, grown and fierce, steps into her role as future queen. She's bold, stubborn, and just like her mother, she doesn't wait for permission. But as she learns more about her pride's history, the dark years under Scar, the hunger, the fear, questions start to rise. Why didn't the lionesses fight back sooner? Why did Nala leave and no one else? Why is her father hailed as the savior when her mother was the one who brought him home? In a now viral Tumblr thread titled Queen in the Shadows, a fan asked, what if Kiara starts to question her mother, not out of rebellion, but out of respect? What if she wants to understand what it costs to survive? And I think that question is everything, because Kiara knows how to lead, but she doesn't yet know what it means to endure, to carry a secret so heavy it reshapes your identity. And Nala, she's lived with that weight for years. But then there's Kion, the second-born, the one burdened with magic, with the roar, with expectation. And here's what chills me. Kion doesn't just carry power, he carries echoes of Nala's silence. Let me explain. In the Lion Guard, Kion faces decisions that parallel his mother's, choosing whether to stay or go, whether to trust tradition or challenge it, whether to lead by force or by faith. And just like Nala, he walks away from home, not in shame, but in service. One Reddit comment by Elder Echoes made a stunning observation. Kion repeats his mother's story without even knowing it. He leaves, he sacrifices, he carries the roar like Nala carried the truth. quietly, painfully, with purpose. And maybe that's not a coincidence. Maybe Nala knew Kion would need strength beyond what Simba could teach. Maybe that's why she kept her past hidden. Not to protect herself, but to protect him. To let him walk into destiny without the burden of knowing how dark the world can be. But secrets don't vanish, they wait. And that's where the next chapter begins. Because now Kiara and Kion have children of their own. Asher, Raiko, heirs born beneath the tree of life in a moment so peaceful it almost feels like fate has finally softened. But the final lines of the Lion Guard suggest otherwise. One was born with the roar, the other with something far more dangerous. It's haunting and deeply familiar, because once again we see two cubs born into power, shadowed by potential and secrets. The fan community on Discord's Tree of Life archives has been buzzing for months, debating what this something dangerous could be. Some believe it's a curse linked to Scar. Others think it's a new form of power, unpredictable, untamed, and inherited from the quiet strength of queens who came before, from Nala. Because if the roar is about control, what happens when you inherit the strength of someone who refused to be controlled? What happens when a cub carries not a gift, but a memory, not of magic, but of survival? It's poetic, it's terrifying, and it's the legacy Nala never meant to leave, but couldn't escape. In the end, this is why her secret matters. Not because it was hidden, but because it shaped everything that followed. She saved the Pride Lands not with roars, but with resolve. She led not from the throne, but from the shadows. She gave Kiara courage. She gave Kion balance. And she gave the next generation a silent promise. That strength isn't always loud. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it hides, but it's always there. So when Asher lifts her head to the stars one day and asks why the wind feels heavier when the sky is quiet, maybe she'll feel it too. The legacy of the queen who defied a tyrant. The roar that never needed to be heard. The secret that changed everything. And maybe, just maybe, that will be enough to save them all.